He. Moaning time, moaning time. Yes, it is the moaning time. Whew. I'm on my way to the workplace. A lot of these are probably going to be while I'm on my way to the workplace. At least for now. So, good morning to y'all. Good morning to y'all. Y'alls, yous and yous. What shall we discuss today? What shall we discuss today? Think for a moment about gratitude. How do we in our daily walks through this journey of life reflect our gratitude? How do we practice this? Is it important for us to be grateful for the smallest of things? See, let's just get right into the meat and bones of it. It's easy to be grateful when everything is good, right? When life is good, the relationship's hitting on all cylinders, right? It's great. The job is working out great. You know, you can't complain. It's a good thing. It's fantastic, right? We can be grateful. Oh, things are so good. The car's running good. You know, my partner is happy. I'm happy. Got a promotion at work and everything is all good. Everything is cool. You know, the kids aren't having any problems. The family is cool. You know, life is good. We find it easier to express our gratitude in times where there isn't much that is going on in our lives that is overwhelming. But see, here's what ends up happening. Once again, my throat. Always with my throat. So here's what ends up happening. Life throws us a curveball. Wata! We swing, we miss. Something to happen. So I always use my own experience. Right? So what ended up happening for me is about 2 months back, my sister passed away. Breast cancer. And for as much as I could have tried to prepare or be ready for it, I wasn't. I couldn't have been ready. Things were good. Life was good. Job is going well. I can't speak to relationship because there was really not a relationship at that time. There was the beginning of one. Or yeah, there was the beginning of one without my even knowing it. But anyway, so my sister passes away and things become very, very, very overwhelming for me. I become very emotionally unstable, and everything that I see and everything that I look at reflects negativity. I can't seem to find any semblance of gratitude. I recognize this and I acknowledge internally that it is important for me to remain positive through whatever it is I may be going through and to find gratitude in the smallest of things. So what do I find myself grateful for? Right? I find myself grateful for being able to be in a position in my life today where she could have seen where I came from, in comparison to where I'm at today. See, because it hasn't always been rainbows and butterflies for me. It hasn't always been looking at things from a place of gratitude. When I was living on the streets and I was eating out of trash cans, I couldn't find gratitude because there was nothing to be grateful for. Right? When I was sleeping in the rain, it was hard to grasp onto gratitude. But I realized just the thought of her being able to see me where I'm at today in comparison to where I was in the past, and the person I used to be and the things I used to do, wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. I had to dig deep. Right? And sometimes the smallest of things are the best things to grasp onto for gratitude. So what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for family. A lot of us would say that. I'm grateful for my job. I'm grateful that I have a place to stay, a roof over my head, food in the refrigerator. I'm grateful I got a couple of pennies to rub together, albeit maybe not a lot, but a couple to rub together. I can be grateful that I woke up this morning. I can be grateful that I no longer have to look over my shoulder all the time. But see, the gratitude that I found was for the simplest of things. I just saw something super weird. Super weird. Never fails driving down Lakeshore in Oakland. It never fails to see some weird shit. But one day I'm out and I'm all caught up in my head, and what ends up happening for me is, without even realizing it, I have opened myself up so much to gratitude. I'm in the store. Don't know what I'm looking for in the store. I'm just out and about roaming around because I don't want to be at home in my head. Right? And a baby cries. I don't know where the baby was. Right? But I heard this baby cry. And it was like quick. It was like 5 seconds, boom, and it shut off, and then the baby started laughing. This happy laugh, this pure, joyous, guttural laugh. And I start laughing. I don't know why I'm laughing. It's not a manic thing. I'm just laughing because that laugh brought me joy. See, because out of pain, we can find happiness, we can find joy, even if we don't know where the pain stems from. And I like to think that oftentimes we find this reflected in children. Because they find joy in the simplest of things. So this baby laughs and I start laughing, and I'm grateful for that little laugh. See, when I grasp on the gratitude, what ends up happening is, like, I start acting with an attitude of gratitude. And if I function with an attitude of gratitude, what ends up happening for me is that things that can be overwhelming or put me off in my life, right, they don't start to have such a big emotional impact on me. I can function through life's ups and downs, all the obstacles, the curveballs that are thrown at me. I can find a reason to smile. I can find a reason to laugh. And I can find a reason to be positive regardless. You ever heard somebody say irregardless? Like, where do you even get that from? Regardless of what is going on in my life, whatever my woes may be. So my sister passes, and what ends up happening for me is that I go to the service. It was a Wednesday. On Thursday, I went to a wedding. And that weekend, my other sister had a baby. As I watched the progression of life and show up for my own, what ends up happening for me is I get to take part. See, when I'm not so stuck up on negativity and being ungrateful, I can actually see the beauties in life. I'm not so stuck on the fact that maybe she's not here anymore, because you know what? Like, she is. She's with me everywhere I go. Her and my sister Vita. And keeping their memories alive doesn't mean that I dwell on the despair and the misery of loss. It means I reflect on the time shared. It means that I become willing to acknowledge that they are preparing a place for me. My guidance. They are my guidance while I'm here, watching over me. And then, because I have an attitude of gratitude, what I can do now is I can actually show up for this wedding, and I can watch as two people start a new chapter in their life. See, because life comes and goes. A person may pass, but in the same instant, a life is created. Two people start a life together. I'm grateful to be able to experience these things. I'm grateful to be able to walk through the woods on a hike with someone and be able to share my innermost thoughts and feelings with a stranger. See, I did this with someone, and I was not expecting what happened to happen. I thought we were just going to go for a walk. It was just going to be a hike with two people and some conversation. And it was more than that. I wouldn't say that I was in an emotionally vulnerable place, so I was more open to talking. The energy that I received from this person put me at ease in such a way that I was open enough to sharing the way that I did. And because I was able to do that, we were able to have a back and forth. It was a give and take. Equal. And I got to enjoy these views and these smells and these sounds right? And all of my senses were open at one time. And emotionally and spiritually, I opened up and I allowed all this stuff to flow out. But see, what ended up happening for me is like I was created a safe place to do that in. It takes a special kind of person, especially for me, to create a space that feels so safe and comfortable for me that I can open up that way. And I'm grateful for it. See, but having an attitude of gratitude doesn't mean that you wake up one day and you're like, oh, I'm grateful my headlights work. I'm grateful I have gas. I'm grateful I have eggs in the refrigerator. Yay, I'm grateful. Nope, it takes practice. A lot of us fool ourselves into believing that we act with an attitude of gratitude and that we are really grateful and truly thankful, right? But when the ish hits the fan, are we really grateful? Or do we get selfish? I can't pay my rent this month. What is there to be grateful for? Well, be grateful that you still have a job to get up and go to if you have a job. Be grateful that maybe you can't pay your rent this month, but you know what? I'm sure there is something in your life that can help you find gratitude. The fact that maybe in this moment you still have a place to stay. I work with the unhoused a lot, the unsheltered. And I've been at a place in my life where I was out there living that life and I didn't have anything but what I had on my back. And a lot of times I didn't have much on my back. I'm going to quit soon. How do I show my gratitude to the world? Uh-oh. Here we go with this. See, because I can be selfish with my gratitude. But when we start to talk about paying it forward, like how does that look? Because see, if I'm acting with an attitude of gratitude, that doesn't mean that I'm just sitting by and I'm like, oh, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that, I'm grateful for that. My gratitude should reflect on those around me. Not just the people that I love, not just the people that are close to me, right? If I'm acting with an attitude of gratitude, that doesn't mean that I'm walking down the street and somebody says hello and I look at them like they crazy. Conversation for a whole nother time. With social media and phones and technology these days, there is no socializing. You can't walk down the street anymore and smile at somebody and say hi without them thinking you're weird. But see, I find that the people that do that, that walk around, they got smiles on their faces. You pass them on the street and they're like, hi, how you doing? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Those are people that want to give light and love to others around them. And it becomes second nature to socialize in the smallest of ways with people. Because we become a reflection of our gratitude. So if I'm walking down the street and someone says good afternoon, and I'm like, that's not me reflecting my gratitude. My response. There's a bird on this fence right now little baby bird, like it just started. Like maybe it just started to fly. He's a little scruffy little guy. Let's see. Little bird, buddy. What you looking at, bird? So like he's looking at my car like he wants to poop on it. Don't be pooping on my car, little bird. Nah. Oh, flew away. Well. I look back on my life and the things that I've overcome and what I've had to walk through. A lot of which, a lot of the obstacles I've had to walk through, some of us have a problem acknowledging that we create the havoc that happens in our lives. Conversation for another time as well. But see, I created a lot of havoc in my own life, and I had to walk through that. And it was so very difficult to walk through, because the smallest of things I turned into the biggest of mountains. And it becomes so overwhelming. And then, like, I'm not grateful for anything. I'm not grateful for the fact that I have shoes on my feet and clothes on my back. Like, I'm not grateful that I have a job. I'm not grateful that I have a vehicle, right? Because I took something so very insignificant. Example, I live in Alameda. I have a lot of neighbors that look at me like I'm crazy and make it clear that they don't feel like I belong. And at first, when I moved to Alameda, this would bother me. It would sit on my spirit. But you know what? It's very, very insignificant, like, to my life. But in the beginning, what I did was I took everybody else's shit on, right? Because they don't like me or they don't believe that I belong here. And you know what? Like, I worked to get to where I'm at today. I don't apologize for that. I actually feel better knowing that I had to scrape from nothing. I had to make an active change in my life, right? And because I kept putting one foot in front of the other, I was able to get to where I'm at today without allowing anything to hinder me anymore or my growth. But see, it got so bad for me in the beginning that, like, I would go outside to walk the dog and I would only go out the back way because I knew that there weren't going to be people back there and I didn't have to walk down the street on the beach side. Because I felt like every time I walked down the street on the beach side, people were looking at me weird. I had a lady follow me one day. She followed me all the way around the block. And then when I stopped at my front door, she said, "Excuse me, sir, do you live here?" And I got my dog with me. And I'm like, "Yeah, I live here." I said, "Do you live here?" She said, "Well, I did." That's not the point. And I said, "But you followed me all the way around the block and I'm walking my dog and I just have to wonder to myself, like, why do you feel the need to follow me?" And she said, "Because we've had break-ins." And I said, "Yeah, but do you live here? Like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? If you're asking me if I live here, do you live here?" And she said, "Well, I don't live here. I live on the other side of town." And I'm like, I said, "Miss," I said, "I appreciate your concern and I'm grateful for your concern." I said, "But I pay rent here. I live here. I have keys to this building." I said, "But I suggest that you, when you go home, you take a look at your bias." I said, because I'm a black man and you just followed me around the block to make sure I live here, and I'm walking a dog. You obviously saw me pick up her poop. Right? You're watching me go to this door with some keys in my hand. Here are my keys. Got my keys in my hand. Right? And she was like, well, you never can be too sure. And I said, well, if I was a white man or a white woman, would you be following me? I said, your bias tells you that I don't belong in this neighborhood and I must be up to no good. I said, but it's people like you who drive me to be the person that I am today. I said, so I'm grateful for people like you. But it took me some time to get to a place where I could actually be grateful for those that don't feel like I belong, right? Where I could use that as my motivation to move forward in life and continue to do the next right thing when nobody else was looking. Integrity. I find gratitude in my integrity because no longer do I feel insignificant. No longer do I feel like I'm not good enough. No longer do I feel like I don't belong. I am right where I am supposed to be at any given time. And I am grateful for that. Even if the feeling isn't good. So if she tells me she doesn't want to be with me anymore, or he doesn't want to go on a date and he rejects me, or whatever may happen, I don't get the promotion at work, if the car breaks down, somebody broke 2 of my windows a couple weeks back. My passenger side front window and the passenger side back window. They broke it, they reached in, they grabbed my backpack. Right? It happened in like 30 seconds. And it would, some of us might be like, man, they broke into my car. And I was truly upset. I won't take nothing away from that. I was upset because it's the 3rd time that it's happened in as many weeks or as many months. I mean, so I was upset, but you know what? Like, that passed real fast because guess what? I have insurance. And so I found myself being grateful that this happened at 9 o'clock at night on a Tuesday. And by 11 o'clock that Wednesday, 11 a.m., both of my windows were fixed. I'm grateful for myself that I have become responsible enough to make sure that I have these things in place, that I pay my insurance on a monthly basis, that I am fully covered, and that I can go and I can get both windows replaced for such a small deductible. Gratitude. I'm grateful that they didn't take my rims, that they didn't take my sound system. You know? I'm grateful for these things. So, it's important for us to remember that we should be grateful and find gratitude, right, in trying times more so than when things are going so great. I always say that positivity breeds positivity. And if you're acting with an attitude of gratitude, then you are acting out in a positive way. You are a reflection of positivity. And so if I continue to be grateful and I continue to remain positive, more good things happen in my life. But if I am ungrateful and I'm looking at everything negatively, then guess what I'm going to get back in return from the universe? Wow. Imagine that. Imagine that for 1 second. Put a concept into action. It's a beautiful thing. We're going here to the workplace, do my work thing. I'm gonna see what today brings. Life is good, right? I gotta say, like, I'm grateful for a lot, but you know, my last day at this place that I work is the last Friday of this month. And I had no idea who I was when I came here. I had no idea. I was scared. I was afraid. I was on the brink of losing it. I was renting a room. Conversation for another time. And of everything that I am grateful for in my life today, I am grateful for this place the most. Because it was being able and allowed the opportunity to be in this space that allowed me to look at myself and to find who I truly am. Because everybody around me loved on me and they cared for me and they were compassionate. They validated me. Not that we should look for validation, but you know what, as human beings, we need validation sometimes. Positive validation. And people to acknowledge that they see the greatness in us and the potential in us, and that's what happened for me here. And it's hard for me to think about leaving. But because they were so good to me, like, I was able to find out who I am and I was able to find my purpose. I don't want to leave this place, but I know that I have to move forward to the next chapter of my life. It's hard. This job has invested so much in me. So, go in here and make it happen. Mascara. Listen, we'll be back at y'all tomorrow. Something else. Talk about a little something new. A little something old. A little something fresh. A little something bold. Love y'all. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to smile. Don't forget to smile. Even if it's a fake smile. You're still using your facial muscles. Don't forget to laugh. Find a reason to laugh. Find a reason to smile. Find a reason to feel joy. And more than anything, find a reason to practice gratitude. Y'all have a good one.